There's a food sitting in almost every kitchen in America right now that doctors are quietly telling their patients over 60 to stop eating so much of, and right next to it, on the same shelf, is something most women walk right past because they think it's too plain or too boring to matter. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly which one to grab and which one to leave behind. And number 4 on this list? It's the one nutritionists say gets ignored more than any other food for women in their 60s. Even though it might be doing more for your joints, your heart, and your energy than anything else in your fridge. So stay with me, because I promise you, this is not the tired list you've already seen 100 times. Welcome back to Healthy Living After 50, the place where we make getting older feel like a gift, not a challenge, and where living well never has to cost you a fortune. If this is your first time here, I'm so glad you found us. And if you've been with us for a while, thank you for showing up again. Because that's what this community is really about, women supporting women through one of the most powerful chapters of life. Before we get into today's list, if you're someone who genuinely wants to feel stronger, sharper, and more energized in the years ahead, do me a small favor and hit that subscribe button. It costs nothing, but it means everything to this little corner of YouTube. And while you're at it, drop a comment below and let me know which city or state you're watching from today. I love seeing where this community stretches to. Now here's the truth nobody really sits you down and tells you. After 60, your body isn't asking for less. It's asking for smarter. The foods that kept you going at 40 simply don't work the same way anymore, and most women don't find that out until something starts to slip: energy, memory, joints, or that stubborn tiredness that coffee can't touch. But there are 7 specific foods, ones you likely already have access to, that can quietly change how you feel every single day. Let's get into the first one, because it might surprise you. FOD number 1, fatty fish. Let's start with something you've probably heard mentioned before, but almost never explained properly. Fatty fish, think salmon, sardines, or mackerel, carry something called omega-3 fatty acids, and after 60, these become less of a nice extra and more of a daily requirement. Here's why. Your brain is nearly 60% fat, and omega-3s are one of the main building blocks it uses to keep memory sharp and mood steady. Women who eat fatty fish a few times a week report clearer thinking and fewer of those frustrating foggy moments. But here's the part almost nobody talks about. Omega-3s also fight inflammation quietly in the background, and inflammation is the hidden root behind joint pain, stiffness, and even heart issues that tend to show up more after 60. You don't need a fancy sushi dinner to get this benefit either. A simple can of sardines on whole grain crackers, or a small piece of salmon baked with lemon, does the job just as well as anything from an expensive restaurant. This is one of those foods that proves healthy living doesn't have to break the bank. FOD number 2, leafy greens. Now, leafy greens like kale, spinach, and collard greens might sound like the most predictable entry on this list, but stick with me, because most women are eating them wrong. It's not just about tossing a handful into a salad. Leafy greens are one of the richest natural sources of calcium and vitamin K, 2 nutrients that work together like a construction crew for your bones. Here's what makes this uncommon. Most people think calcium alone builds strong bones, but without vitamin K, your body doesn't actually know where to send that calcium. Leafy greens deliver both at once, which is rare in the food world. For women over 60, this matters enormously, since bone density naturally starts to decline, and a simple side of sautéed spinach with garlic can quietly become one of your strongest defenses against fractures and falls later in life. FOD number 3, berries. Blueberries, strawberries, raspberries, whichever you prefer, berries are often treated like a sweet little topping rather than a serious health tool. But this is where I want you to shift your thinking. Berries are packed with antioxidants, tiny compounds that go around your body cleaning up damage caused by everyday stress, sun exposure, and simply the process of aging. Here's the uncommon part most videos skip. Research has repeatedly shown that regular berry eaters tend to have better memory recall and slower brain aging compared to those who rarely eat them. It's not magic, it's simply that berries protect the very cells your brain relies on to keep you sharp. A cup of frozen mixed berries, which is often cheaper than fresh, blended into a bit of yogurt in the morning, can become one of the simplest wins of your entire day. Now, before we move on to food number 4, the one I mentioned earlier that almost nobody is talking about, I want to pause for just a second. If this video is giving you even one useful nugget so far, please take 2 seconds to like this video. It genuinely helps this channel reach more women just like you who need this information. And if you haven't already, subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss one of these breakdowns. Now let's get into the food that changes more than people realize. FOD number 4, fermented dairy. This is the one I promised you. Fermented dairy, things like plain Greek yogurt or kefir, tends to get completely overlooked because it feels too simple to matter. But here's what's happening behind the scenes. Your gut is home to trillions of bacteria, and after 60, the bacterial balance naturally starts to shift, which can affect digestion, immunity, and even your mood more than most people realize. Fermented dairy delivers live, active cultures that help restore that balance. Think of it as sending in reinforcements for a workforce that's been quietly shrinking. And there's a bonus most people never connect: a healthy gut actually supports better nutrient absorption, meaning everything else on this list works even better once your gut bacteria are properly supported. A simple bowl of plain Greek yogurt with a drizzle of honey isn't just a snack, it's foundational maintenance for your entire body. FOD number 5, beans and legumes. Beans, lentils, chickpeas, these are the unsung heroes of the food world, and I say that because they rarely get the spotlight they deserve. They're inexpensive, they last a long time in your pantry, and they carry an impressive combination of fiber and plant-based protein. Here's the part that surprises most people. Fiber does more than help digestion, it actually helps regulate blood sugar and cholesterol, two things that become increasingly important to manage after 60. And the protein in beans helps maintain muscle, which naturally starts to decline with age if it isn't actively supported. A simple pot of lentil soup, made with ingredients that likely cost less than a coffee at a drive-thru, can quietly protect your heart, your blood sugar, and your strength all at once. FOD number 6, nuts and seeds. Almonds, walnuts, chia seeds, flax seeds, this category often gets treated as an occasional snack rather than a daily habit, but that's a mistake. Nuts and seeds are dense with healthy fats, the kind that support your heart and help your body absorb certain vitamins more effectively. What most people don't realize is that a small handful, just about a quarter cup, can provide meaningful amounts of magnesium, a mineral tied closely to better sleep and calmer nerves. And after 60, sleep quality often becomes harder to maintain, so this small daily habit can have a ripple effect on how rested and clear-headed you feel. Keeping a small jar of mixed nuts on your counter, rather than tucked away in a cabinet, makes it far easier to reach for them instead of less helpful snacks. FOD number 7, eggs. And finally, eggs. This one tends to divide people because of outdated advice from decades ago, but current understanding paints a very different picture. Eggs are one of the few foods that naturally contain choline, a nutrient directly tied to brain function and memory support, something incredibly relevant for women over 60. They also deliver complete protein, meaning they contain everything your muscles need in one simple package, along with natural vitamin D, which becomes harder to get enough of as we age, especially for those who spend less time outdoors. A couple of eggs scrambled with a handful of those leafy greens we talked about earlier isn't just breakfast, it's a strategic combination that supports your brain, your muscles, and your bones all in one plate. So there you have it, 7 foods that aren't flashy, aren't expensive, and don't require a complicated diet plan, but together, they quietly support everything from your memory to your bones to your heart. The women who feel strongest and sharpest in their 60s and beyond usually aren't doing anything extreme, they're simply doing small, consistent things like this, day after day. If this video helped you see food a little differently today, I'd love for you to like it, leave a comment telling me which of these 7 foods you're already eating, and subscribe if you haven't yet, because we've got so many more simple, affordable ways to help you feel your best right here every single week. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next one.